Last but not least.
Amazing. I thought the room would be empty, but
It was at one point.
there's a lot of heads nodding off. I don't know.
Well, we'll get right into it then. Before I ask the question, Wayne, I'll let you know how long you have to answer it. For a reminder that Scott will let you know when your time is up. He's right here in the front with the little sign, that threatening sign that he's thrusting in the air there. Your first question, you have 1 minute for your answer. Which political leader from the past 50 years, besides Ronald Reagan, do you see as a role model?
I think the political leader that I see as a role model is, and you didn't specify where from, I think Margaret Thatcher from England. I think she did a lot of the things that Ronald Reagan did. She brought England around to more of American-style open market, free market system, and she got along well with Ronald Reagan, which was very good. She also realized the power of the military to England and tried to get rid of a lot of the entitlement programs, and unfortunately, after she left office, they're worse than when she started.
Okay, thanks, Wayne. 1 minute for your answer to this as well. In what specific ways would you help to support and unite the Republican Party in our district?
Well, I think the Tea Party actually has helped do that right now, and even Ron Paul helped that with the Tea Party, because we need conservative people in Congress, and we've lost our way. Republicans have moved to the middle, more moderate, and we need to get back to Reagan-type conservatism, and I will help move the party to the far right, where we stand for a constitutional government based on Christian principles.
Okay, Wayne, 2 minutes for your answer on this one. Given the 8th District's vulnerability to natural disasters, what would be your approach of funding for FEMA and the Army Corps of Engineers during our current budget crisis?
Well, I don't know if the Army Corps of Engineers need any funding. Hope they're not here. But I think they abuse a lot of their funding. In fact, we have 2 levees that need to be rebuilt, and I think I'd stop all funding for them until those levees do get rebuilt.
And for FEMA?
And for FEMA, you know, they haven't done a very good job when Katrina hit, and I understand in New York they've had a lot of issues, so I don't know. I think that whole system needs to be revamped. I wouldn't give them another dime until we got new leadership in those programs.
2 minutes for your answer on this one as well, Wayne. What is your position on reauthorizing the 2008 Farm Bill, which expired September 30th of 2012, and we do need you to be specific?
Well, I wouldn't reauthorize that bill. I would go back to maybe 2004 levels. You know, that bill has a lot of things in it that need to be cleaned up. A lot of things from the Depression era are still in there. Also, unfortunately, most of the money goes to big commercial agricultural businesses. About 80% of the subsidies go to big agricultural people, where the small farmers making $10,000 to $249,000 only get maybe 24% of the subsidies. So we need to get back to our small farmers. Another thing I would tackle is the $75 billion food stamp program. I understand we need a safety net. However, the food stamp program has been growing for a long time now. In 2000, it was $17.1 billion. 2007 was already up to 26.3. I know we went into a recession in 2008. We understand more people going on food stamps. But now, after the recession, unemployment is down from about 9.6 to 8.2. But yet we have 30 million more people on the food stamp program, adding about 10,000 a day. I think Congress needs to look at that and see what's going on.
2 minutes for your answer to this one as well. How would you support economic development in our 8th district?
Well, economic development is very important for job creation. First of all, we have to make sure there's a level playing field. I've seen too many times where government tries to pick winners and losers, and they're very good at picking losers. Government does not make a good venture capitalist. Now, you've all heard about the fiscal cliff. I can tell you about another cliff we're going to be going over, the regulatory cliff. We need to reduce regulations, particularly when it comes to the EPA, which I would cancel any money going to them and disband that organization, because the Dodd-Frank bill, President Obama conveniently left a lot of those things till after he got in office. There's 130 unmandated programs in there that's going to slow down economic development, and we need to work on that issue so that that doesn't happen. Also, the EPA has a mega deal for ozone. It's going to cost manufacturers and businesses $90 billion a year. You heard me right, $90 billion a year. Also, there's another mandate of theirs that they said 85% of the counties that they monitor will not meet the standards. And another point that they had that'll affect all of us, because I think everyone out there uses energy. I know we do in my household. $4.5 billion a year it'll affect. And you know what they said? By their own study, every dollar spent on that, you'll get a 3-cent return. That's not my idea of economic development.
This will be your last question. You'll have 1 minute to answer. If you want to learn more about the ozone, they'll be on my show the 28th. Tune that in. 1 minute for your final answer. Washington seems to be in gridlock. When, if ever, is it appropriate to compromise?
Well, we never compromise on our Christian principles and values ever. We can compromise on ideas on how much should be spent where, but never on moral issues, ethical issues at all. We can compromise on what department should get how much money, where should we cut. And by the way, I wouldn't cut the Department of Defense anymore. They've already been cut by $400 billion under Robert Gates. So compromise is where you think someone should get $1, I think they should get $2, and we decide on $1.50, but never on moral principles or ethical values.
Okay, that was your final question, but you do have 1.5 minutes for closing statement in the end.
Thank you. Well, my background, of course, is 20 years working for the 2 largest restaurant companies in the world. You're in my office right now. Also, my healthcare background, I have a master's degree in healthcare administration, and also as a professor of aerospace science at the university just down the street on Broadway. So I have a strong background there, but you want to remember that Barack Obama, in my opinion, one of his weakest areas, and we can discuss that all night long, there's so many of them, but was international relations, foreign policy, and his dealing with terrorism. If you think Al-Qaeda is dead, you better think again, because it's not. And the way it's massatizing, I don't see any end in sight to terrorism, and our kill and capture operations will probably go on for another decade. Remember, we have 5 global military commands around the world. Over 1 million people, men and women, at arms on 4 continents. Carrier battle groups in every ocean. We have a military superiority. People need to understand the Department of Defense, where I worked for 25 years. People need to understand terrorism when I worked with NSA, the Pentagon, CIA, and DIA. And that's probably one of our weaknesses. We don't have many veterans in there in Congress, and so they don't focus on issues like international relations, foreign policy, and that's one of my areas of expertise. I look forward to meeting at the next forum, and I appreciate your support. Thank you very much.